welcome to this little video where I'm going to talk all about cluster feeding. When your baby is on the boob, off the boob, on this one, non-stop, like it is a 24/7 takeaway bar. Why is it that they're on and off the breast so much? Are they not getting enough milk? If you can hear them getting milk and they're having wet and dirty nappies, why is it that they won't leave you alone and just sleep for a little bit? Is this normal behavior or is there something wrong? I'm going to answer all of these questions and give you my top tips on how you can get through those cluster feeding periods and when to expect them. If this is the first time that you are over here, thank you so much for joining me. My name is Kitty. I am a lactation consultant, a registered general nurse. I'm also a birth and postpartum doula, hypnobirthing instructor, antenatal educator, and mama to 3 little people, and currently tandem feeding my 2 little boys. So I'm very much in the middle of all of this mayhem. And I wanted to give you just a little bit of reassurance and an understanding on what cluster feeding is, why does it happen, and how we can expect what is normal and what periods to expect these cluster feeding periods. So let's begin with the reason. What is the why behind this cluster feeding? And it's very clever and comes down to our babies sending a message to our bodies with that suckling on and off that tells our bodies that we need to make more milk. And so similar to how you would order your Friday night takeaway, you have to make the phone call before the food arrives. For our babies suckling at the breast, they are making the phone call, they are placing the demand for more milk, which means that we can be more likely to expect these cluster feeding periods around times of growth spurts or large developmental leaps. So we're talking about night 2, as our babies are triggering our milk to come in to transition from that sticky golden colostrum to the more mature milk. We can expect a big gusto of this cluster feeding around day 10 or night 10 as our babies enter into another phase where they require more milk volume. And then again around week 6. We can also notice these windows of cluster feeding as our baby is tanking up for the night. So we might notice from sort of 4 p.m. until 6 or 7 or 8 p.m. that our babies are fussy and they are clustering backwards and forwards between the breasts. And this is very, very normal behavior. And this is less so about them putting in the order of more milk and more so about them being overstimulated and wanting to just tank up for the night. So that's why it's often followed with a nice stretch of sleep. And now let's dive into what my top tips are for how you can manage these cluster feeding fussy periods. So my tip number 1 might not come as a crazy one, but that is to set the scene, to create a space where you can have your little nursing cave, where you can settle in for an evening of cluster feeding, where you have already gone for a wee, maybe had your dinner, and you've got this cozy space where you're already in your jammies and you've already washed your face and done all of those bits and pieces so that you can just nestle in for the night, maybe in front of the telly, maybe you got your phone and your book within reach, you've got your water, some one-handed snacks, and you can just sink in and just really surrender to this breastfeeding phase. Really makes it so much easier. The more we try to fight it, the more we're trying to maybe put our babies down to sit and eat dinner with the rest of our family, the more difficult that becomes. Surrender to this little phase and know that that is exactly all it is, just a phase. My next tip is to figure out the stretchy wrap. This is one of my favorite baby accessories, and you'll find that I'm pretty minimal when it comes to things that I require for that newborn phase, but a stretchy wrap is one of those that I could never leave behind me. And the reason for that is it's really, really an invaluable tool for keeping our baby close, for comforting them, giving them the reassurance that they need, the closeness, that motion that helps really comfort them when they are fussy like that. But also you can nurse quite easily in a stretchy sling once you get the hang of it. And so I just put my stretchy wrap on as if it were an accessory. And when I'm having these fussy periods, knowing that I can just pop my baby into the wrap and go for a little bop around the kitchen counter, or just sit and be having my dinner with my baby being close to me, getting the reassurance and the milk and the comfort that they need without me having to use my hands at all, is an absolute game changer. So I will link my favorite stretchy wrap for the newborn days down below in the description box. My next tip when you have a really fussy baby who wants nothing but breast is to get in the water together. Co-bathing is really beautiful for the skin to skin top contact, which helps to encourage our milk supply with the hormones that are released in mum and baby, but also helps baby's microbiome. It helps them to be nice and calm and relaxed in with the levity of the warm water, but also the running of the water, the movement of the water can be really relaxing. It can be a great way for you to do that sort of rebirthing process, is what we call it in the lactation world, to help everyone just calm right down. You will also find that as mum calms, so too does baby. And so doing things that help you feel calm can also have a really lovely impact on our little ones. Pro tip, babies are slippy. And so be mindful of that and make sure you have your partner there or whoever is your team member there to help you carry your baby and you out of the bath safely. And the other tip is if your baby is struggling to settle into the bath, bringing in a muslin that you dampen in the warm water to place over the two of you can be a lovely way to gently guide that experience. Okay, here is time for a little bit of a controversial tip, and that is to have your earbuds, your wireless headphones, your over the head headphones, whatever you normally use, ready, charged, and a podcast, a meditation, some relaxing music ready to go. And you might think, well, are you not disconnected from your baby then? What's going on? How is that helpful, Kitty? How can you be okaying this? And the reason that I'm okaying this is because what our babies really need is a well-regulated parent. And if you feel like your baby's crying can be really triggering for you, if you find it difficult to remain calm when they are constantly upset, this can be the best gift that you've ever given to them. And so if you are rocking your baby, if you're patting them, shushing them, swaying and nursing your baby while being able to keep yourself regulated, this is a fantastic tool to have. Okay, and my last tip is to keep your birth ball inflated. So we might all think that as soon as our babies are out, we want to deflate that birth ball, put it somewhere out of the way, maybe until the next baby or until you plan on doing some exercise. But for me, I love to keep my birth ball inflated because let's be real, holding, rocking, swaying, carrying our babies can get very tiring and you can get really sore biceps the next day. So having your baby close in your arms or in the carrier, in the wrap, and being able to bounce gently on the birthing ball can be a great way to hold your baby close, but it'd be a little bit easier on your body. So keep the birth ball inflated, and I will share, if I haven't made it yet, another little reel somewhere in here on another reason why I love to keep the birth ball inflated. So check the description box for that one if I haven't already. Okay, so those are my top tips on what to expect with those cluster feeding, fussy periods, and those really like wakeful hours, those witching hours, and my top tips for how you can manage them, but also what to expect and why they occur. If you are worried about your baby's intake, if you are worried about the amount of wet and dirty nappies that they have, about their weight gain, or about their general demeanour, if they're not coming away from the breast with soft open hands and unfurrowed brow, and checking if the chicken wing is done, so lifting up the elbow, and if it doesn't flop back down like that, this baby is still hungry. So touch base with a lactation consultant, send me an email, and I can set up a Zoom call with you to go over all of your worries and your concerns and to help you make a plan to make sure that you are well and your baby is fed. I hope that you've enjoyed this video and it's given you some ideas on how to get through these windows, and know that it is just a phase. Put it up somewhere for you to read every day. Surrender to the moment. Our babies are only little for so long, and I hope that I can make this journey easier and you can feel more empowered in these moments. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.